what's up? Bob here. Welcome to my new series, Summer of CTI. This is a series of videos about Creed Taylor's record label, CTI, and the vinyl records that were made. If you don't know Creed Taylor, he's a label owner and producer. He ran Verve for a while to great success, and at some point decided to strike out on his own and start CTI. He started to attract new talent and some players from the great stable over at Verve. And with the help of conductor and arranger Don Sebesky, they made some of the best jazz records of the 1970s. Now, Creed definitely had a vision. All of the records are housed in thick, sometimes laminated gatefolds. The records are very well recorded and mastered by, yes, that's right, Rudy Van Gelder. Most of the recording was done at Inglewood Cliffs. And these records are high pieces of art that reflect the era in which they were recorded. Don Sebesky's influence here is really powerful because otherwise they would just sound like great jazz records. But once you get all those strings and horn ensembles on there, they kind of take on a different vibe. Love him or hate him, Don really added something to the CTI presentation. The first CTI videos I saw in the vinyl community were from Big Star, way back in the early days of the VC. And since then, I have been collecting CTI records, and I thought it was time that I give you my take on the CTI record label. Today's CTI record is from the 6000 series. It's George Benson's Bad Benson. Check out this cover. George on the front, Guild, yeah, whoo. Obviously the first song I heard off of this was Take 5, George's cover of the great Dave Brubeck tune. And he is absolutely burning on this thing. George is, for all intents and purposes, playing his ass off. He is a true virtuoso. But the second thing that occurred to me was, who is on drums? Absolutely extraordinary drumming on this entire record. And the answer to that question is Steve Gadd. Together, George Benson and Steve Gadd make a lethal combination to have in any jazz ensemble. The other players on this record are Philip Upchurch. He plays a little bit of guitar and electric bass on at least one track. Ron Carter is handling all of the upright bass duties, and Kenny Barron is on the piano. You've got Garnett Brown and Wayne Andre on trombone, and that makes out the core jazz ensemble. Now, you have a whole host of other horn players and strings under the supervision of Don Sebesky. Now, Don is pretty laid back on Bad Benson. He didn't do a whole lot. There are two kind of slower jazz ballads. There's definitely some strings and horns on those tunes. But on the more up-tempo, funky tracks, they basically leave all of the heavy lifting up to George and the core crew there. It's a beautiful record. Classic CTI label. This was a $10 record. You should be able to find this all day long between $10 and $20. At the time that I am making this video, there are 32,000 CTI related products on Discogs. I went down to my local Better Days Records here in Louisville, Kentucky, and there were 2 copies sitting in the bins. It does have the laminated cover. Now, with these laminated covers, you will start to get some lifting. I got a little bit up here where when you open the gatefold, it kind of flexes. But otherwise, this is a beautiful condition record. Gatefold is in beautiful condition. This is how most CTI records are found, in great shape. Most people who listen to the CTI record label, they were already hip to taking care of their records and were quite possibly audiophile adjacent. So, this is a fantastic record, highly recommended. If you're into jazz, if you're into jazz guitar, and if you're into 70s jazz funk,
Yeah, that's right.
you will love this record. $10, you can't beat it. CTI 6000 series. The 6, 7, and 8000 series CTI records are the ones that we are most familiar with. There will be more CTI records coming your way in my new series, Summer of CTI. There's no better time for CTI records than the deep summer. As we move forward, you'll find that there is some really adventurous music on the CTI label, and not only will you have strings, horns, guitars, psychedelic fuzz guitar, tons of Rhodes piano, and you know I love the Rhodes. This is a period in time when the electric bass really starts to become prominent in jazz music. So it's a primarily electric jazz situation. So if you're into the funky sounds of the 1970s and the jazz of the 50s and 60s,